Hey, Belong Collective. I just wanted to tune in midweek here and just connect with y'all. My heart's very heavy. This last week of violence that we've seen in our world, we didn't get a chance to acknowledge it on Sunday. It was already that particular life connection, that whole digital gathering was already prepared in the middle of the week and had already actually even been sent over to publish, and we didn't get to acknowledge it on Sunday. No one's reached out to me and told me, Justin, you need to acknowledge that. But it is something I feel like our community needs to acknowledge. If you've been here long enough, you know we want to be the type of church that mourns with those who mourns, grieves with those who are grieving, champions justice, champions reconciliation in our world, and champions peace. And we've seen a lot of despair in our world in the last week, and I just wanted to acknowledge it. I wanted to say my heart is breaking with the Asian American community right now as they are going through this. This violence attached to just so much misinformation, so much hatred, so much racism. And we as the church have an obligation to step into this space and to champion love and to champion peace. And so then to wake up this morning and see the news from Boulder, more violence in our world. We just need to be aware of this as the church. We need to be mourning in this time. We follow Jesus, and Jesus championed peace, and we should be the type of people that champion peace. And so amid all the brokenness in our world right now, we just pray that God would bring peace, that God would bring justice, and that God would bring reconciliation for those people who have deep hatred in our world right now, that God would open their eyes to see that hatred only creates destruction, that there's no way forward with hatred, with fear, but instead with love and understanding. There's so much possibility in front of us when we champion that, including grace, that we have to have grace. And so I just wanted to let you know, as your pastor, I'm confident you've been struggling, mourning, challenged by the reality of our world as we continually, it seems, see the ugly results of racism. I think especially about Atlanta, because the more details that came out about the young man there who took the lives of all these individuals, like you just see that this is someone who claimed Jesus, who had a relationship with Jesus, had a relationship with the church, had been, I think about the reality that individual, his dad was a pastor, and I just want to be clear, it's not my space or place to judge that pastor's relationship with his son or that person's relationship with the church being what determined the outcome of their actions. I don't know all the details about that yet, right? And neither do you. But as the details have come out, it's become pretty clear that there was some really bad theology that this person believed, whether that was something they adopted along the way or something their church handed them. And based on my experience in church, I can guess that maybe he was in a church that handed him that theology, because I've been in churches along my spiritual journey that have handed me some pretty bad theologies that I've had to unlearn. It's difficult to see that the church is going through this time of processing, or at least I hope we're going through a time of processing. It's becoming clear more and more and more that we have a lot of bad theologies to unlearn. And one of the things, I even have a shirt that says bad theology kills, because when we believe really bad theologies, especially around fear, around judgment, around even just a hatred of other people, or believing that God hates people, those theologies lead to action, lead to negative action, lead to destructive action, lead to hate-filled actions by people. And we've seen that in that particular circumstance. I would say it seems that there was literally a theological emphasis for that person's destruction of others, including purity culture, like just calling it what it is. I can't imagine what that community is going through, what those individuals are going through. And as we say every time we talk about these types of situations, we're called to mourn with those who mourn. We're also called to love our enemies. And so in all of this, we will certainly have people that come to thought that we despise or that we just can't even come close to seeing eye to eye with. And we're called to love those individuals as well. And so this is just a challenge to you as you go through this week and you are aware of the brokenness, maybe more so than normal in our world, that we remember we have the power and we have the influence within our social circle, within the people we interact with, to champion love, to create a different kind of world. And we also have the power to even love our enemies, even those who we've maybe never met. And we have the power to grieve with those who are grieving, even from afar, even those we've never met. And so hopefully we don't miss those opportunities, even now, even through the pain of what we're going through as a culture right now. I want to also say about Easter, because Easter's coming up. We're a week and a half away from Easter. We looked into the potential of gathering as a community together in person for Easter, and looked into a variety of venues. One of the problems we deal with is with being a church that meets in different locations is that many of the locations we meet at are closed on Easter. And so that creates a little bit of a problem for meeting. We had spoken with a church particularly that we're getting familiar with in the sense of potentially using their facility here and there. If you remember from some of the videos we filmed, the UCC church in Hummelstown let us use their facility for that. So we've talked to some different places, but ultimately it's not going to work out for us to meet in person. We considered kind of waiting till the last second to see if the weather might be in a place where we could maybe do an outdoor gathering for Easter, but based on kind of the far out forecast, it doesn't look like it's going to be warm enough. And just kind of planning last second for that was going to be a little much. We'll try to really put together a meaningful digital gathering for Easter. This will be another Easter and another digital gathering. That's back-to-back Easters digital gathering. The Belong Collective has yet to have an in-person Easter Sunday. That's really weird to think, but hopefully 2022 will be our first in-person Easter gathering, and it'll be all the better for it. But at the same time, we do hope to get back to in-person gatherings soon. It'll probably start with some outdoor gatherings and maybe be like every other week to begin, and then work into a more regular schedule. So just know that that's coming down the road. The board and myself are working toward that. But thank you so much for your patience and for tuning in to digital gatherings. We have expanded our reach in some cases to reach people who we wouldn't have reached otherwise. So we're trying to focus on the positive, even though we cannot wait to be back in each other's presence. It has been cool to see some of the new people who have been able to interact with the Belong Collective because we've been digital. And so that's exciting, but it will be very exciting when we can actually gather again in person. So we're looking forward to that. We'll let you know when that happens. It'll be a big deal when we gather back together in person. Until then, stay safe and continue to try to find creative ways to love those around you and to pray for those who even are our enemies, love those who are our enemies.